Hey everybody, it is 9:30. We are live. I hope everyone is having a good week. I'm so glad to be back after being sick. So happy that we're able to continue this. I just want to thank God for that. We can't do anything without Him. So let's see. So we don't have anyone here yet. That's okay. That means we can jump right in. So basically, what we're doing, let me get a cough drop. What we are doing today is we are just working with my Airbrush India inks as you see them right over here. So that's pretty cool. And hey, how's it going, Mr. Dan? Great to see you. How are you all the way from Indianapolis? So glad you're here. And we're going to be painting this young lady. I'm feeling much better. Thank you so much, sir. Uh, it was pretty rough, but thank God I'm feeling better. I'm very happy about that. And so I really appreciate that. How you been, sir? So glad you're here. So I always use Pure Ref, right? So if you don't use Pure Ref, I highly recommend it. It really is fantastic. Now, with my Airbrush India, oh, glad to hear it, sir. With my Airbrush India ink set, I have the detail, the light, the medium. I used to have the dark mixture, but the dark mixture is discontinued. I replaced it with the detail. The medium mixture, I'll get it, it's right over here. Let's see. The medium mixture is dark enough and you can build up that dark. Hey Mark, how's it going? Great to see you. Mark, where are you from again? I just want to, it takes me a few times, Mark, before I remember, but I always like to remember, where you guys are from, if you don't mind saying, of course, but it's great to see you. So the medium mixture will be dark enough. The detail mixture, the light, and so what I do is when I start here, guys, is I like to actually dilute the detail mixture. Ah, Calgary, go Canada. Great people up there in Canada. Really, really love my Canadian friends. Such nice people. Dwayne, how's it going? How you been all the way from San Luis de Obispo? Go Mustangs, not banana slugs. How have you been, sir? So I dilute the detail mixture 1 to 1 in the beginning, and then I go to the detail mixture. After the detail mixture, I'll go into the light. I might dilute the light at first, and then from there I'll go to the medium mixture at the end. Oh, I am just outside of New York, in about 5 miles from New York City in New Jersey. Thanks for asking, Mark. Michael, how you doing, sir? Great to see you. Michael, I am in talks with Badger to get your airbrush parts to me. So I am waiting on them, but I definitely want to talk to you tomorrow, so I'm going to email you tomorrow about that whole situation. But thank you so much for entrusting me to build your airbrush. And Dwayne says, been busy, good to see you. Thank you, great to see you as well. So we're going to start with the detail mixture, guys. Michael, the airbrush paintings you're doing are really out of this world. I'm just so excited with the great work that you're doing. I just want you to I've been sick and I haven't been able to comment as much. I wouldn't do 1 to 1, maybe 1 to half. So maybe just a half of, so put the detail mixture and just 0.5 of the water would be really nice, I think. So busy is good. So I'm so glad that you're busy and working and making money. That makes me happy, sir. We as artists, it's always being behind the 8 ball financially, but I love to hear you guys working. So I always test over on the scrap paper here, making sure that no ink is coming out before I pull back on the trigger. That would be bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin working in the darkest areas here. So I'll go to the corner of her eye. And I'm just going to work on some of the darkest areas of her eye area. Oh man, I am so impressed. The way you did with the cowboys, holy Toledo. You're doing so great. And it's so encouraging, you know. Just goes to show you, if you work hard like you do, set your mind to it and study, you know. You pay attention to Steve's live streams and everything, and you can really see how well you're doing. And so I'm just working on that one eye, and then we'll work on the eyebrow. Yes, definitely got to get it while you can, Dwayne. I appreciate that. Strike while the iron's hot. That's what Van Gogh said. Michael says, yeah, right now all four of his paintings are in the process where I'm doing paint. Oh, love it. And you're using that wet palette, right, sir? Because I know you said you had it. I'm going to zoom in so we can see what I'm working on. I'm going to stick in one area for a bit. Changing my technique a little bit to kind of resolve a certain area and then move on. Distance is everything. A lot of people don't talk about distance, but if you want to control this airbrush, controlling distance is going to be everything. Hey, Mr. Garcia, how's it going? Great to see you all the way from New York. How have you been, sir? Congratulations on all the accolades you've been receiving with your artwork. And you just build this up slowly, everybody. And of course, this is the diluted detail mixture. Ah, thanks, Chris. Glad to be back, you know. Yeah, Tim Gores, we were just working on that. Um, Me and Brad, he's one of my students, and we were just working on Tim Gore's Lifeline colors. And aren't they the best for mapping out colors? I mean, I don't think there's anything, I don't think there's a better product out there, and I think Createx really hit a home run with that. And you see, you want to compress your values. You want your values to be close, especially when things are round. When things are round, that means the values turn slowly, and the values are pretty close to one another. Hey Colette, great to see you. Oh yeah, the bloodline colors are really fantastic, you know, really love them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of come in with the white, and we're going to do the 50/50 illustration white by Createx, right? And we'll zoom out here. So you can see how I kind of got in there. See how I really worked that up. Boy, that little thing is loud. I'm going to do a 1-to-1 water here. And so 1-to-1 with the water. Actually, with the detail mixture, I'm going to actually go a little more diluted. So 1-to-1 with the water. See that, guys? And get yourself one of these plastic palette knives. Don't be dealing with the little sticks. Buy one of these. I think it will cost you less than $2, and then you don't need to bother. You get a whole set of them for $2. So definitely, that's the way to go. And so I'm going to use this one, the Extreme Patriot 105. And we're going to go ahead. I always test it out on the test paper here. And I want to build up the whites as I'm building up the other colors, you know, building up the whites as well as building up the inks. Hey, what's up there? How's it going, sir? Great to see you. Yeah, feeling better, my friend. Thanks for asking. So I really appreciate that, Steve. I was watching your video earlier on your Tokyo painting. Very well done. So I'm going to build up this white here. Now with the white, you're not going to see it at first. It's interesting because what happens is that it's wet, right? And it's going to darken the paper. And then when the paper gets dark, it darkens it, but when it dries, the white shows up. So you have to be patient. I'm just going to let that kind of catch up there. We're going to work on the alar cartilage of her nose. See about erasing that a little bit. Now I'm finding that I don't get too much blue shift when I go 1-to-1 with the water, which is good. Slowly build up your values. You got plenty of time. There's no rush. And you know, you'll see as you go, you're building up those values. But let the Createx paint and the ink catch up to the paper. It's very important. And as you go, get rid of any superfluous pencil lines. After getting sick, you kind of want to go back to the life's blood of your work. And for me, the lifeblood of my work is the Airbrush India inks, and which is really how it all started. And you know, every painting begins with the Airbrush India inks. Whether it's an oil painting, airbrush painting, it all begins with that, which is really important. So when things get a little crazy in life, always go back to basics. Of course, the paper I'm using is the Canson color line paper, 184 pound or 300 GSM. I am going to see if I could add an image here, if I have it. Let's see, I'm just going to add it. We'll go to image, and I'll pull up the anatomy that we're going to be looking at, which is important. And let's see. Here's our anatomy. And so this is going to be like really pertinent as to, you know, what we're looking for when we're painting. And so here's our anatomical form here. And always keep that in mind. It's really super important to know what you're painting and why. And so at first we go for the main structure, which is the skeletal structure. And that's the universality that all us people have. So right now I'm working on the zygomatic bone. And you see how it's dry? Now I can go back in and do another layer of the Createx 50/50 illustration white. And don't oversaturate, okay? That's the kiss of death. You don't want to oversaturate. You just build up that white. Even though I have some ink on there, that's okay. If you build it up slowly, you're going to be alright. Don't be afraid of blue shift. I want you to attack it. You know, attack what you're afraid of. It usually is not as big as we make it. So you can see how the white is not only creating form of the skeletal structure, right? So if you look here, you can see we have the frontal bone, which has these two kind of round protuberances here, and we also have the orbital protuberances here. We have the temporal ridge going over here, and those are like all important things in the zygomatic bone. So, you know, just know what you're working on and just continue trying to create something that is more universal in the structure, and that's where anatomy comes in. If you are watching somebody paint a person or a skull and they know anatomy, and you put that side by side with someone who doesn't know anatomy, I can tell from a mile away. So it's really important to have all your ducks in a row, so to speak. And it's not hard to study the anatomy of the face and the neck. It's not difficult. So right here we have the retrobicularis oculi fat pad over here, and it's always thicker on the outside. And we're going to build that up slowly, not fast, right? We're going to build it up slowly. If you build it up fast, then you're going to get stuff like blue shifts and all that fun stuff. I'm slowly getting rid of the pencil lines I don't need as I go, which is very important. So do your homework. It's one thing to learn how to use... Wow, Michael, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And, you know, it's so great to be back. And I'm so happy to see you, Michael, and everyone. And just thank you for being such a good friend. And I, you know, really always look forward to seeing you. And thank you so much for that support, my friend. And we're just going to continue with this white here. And thanks again, Michael, for that. That's just amazing. And you see how slowly I'm building up the white. And I'll show you just like how effective the white is when you're working on it. Rick, how's it going all the way from Canada? Great to see you, my friend. Now we're going to zoom in on her, and you can see that there was some overspray there, but working this white correctly, you can just slowly get rid of that. Just cover that. Now remember, the white is very tricky because it gets darker when you first put it on, and then you have to wait for it to dry. But if you oversaturate, you're going to create a mess. So make sure that when you're using the white is to be very, very slow with it. Build it up. And don't be afraid of it. Attack it. So you see the forehead. Most people see the forehead as just like this plate, but it's a lot more complicated than that. You have the orbital ridge right over here where it's much brighter. It comes out, and when it comes out, it catches more light. So you want to make sure that you hit that. And then the frontal bone here, it turns towards the ceiling or the sky and gets more light there. And then the orbital ridge on this side as well. But the trick is to build that up slowly, right? It's so important to build this up slowly. Hey JC, great to see you. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Be sure not to knock the set of ink on my painting. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Good to see you, JC. How's everything? JC from the Atlanta area. The white used to be like an afterthought, but not anymore. The white works in conjunction with the ink and the tinted paper. Astral, how you doing? Great to see you. Astral's working on a female portrait and had trouble with the skin tones because of not letting my paint dry long enough. Yeah, we all do that from time to time. We just have to be patient, you know? It's not easy. Every one of us have been guilty of that. So now we have the mental fat over here on the mentalis. She has a cleft there. That's from the little fat pads that create that, and that's usually what happens. Most people have it, you know, just covering like a golf ball size, but some people have two, and there's also a little muscle there as well that can contribute to that. And let's zoom out. There we go, and you can see how I'm building up the anatomy. So you can see that what I have to do is I have to compress the values. We all want to see contrast, right? But that's the thing, you know, the contrast, when we're taught to have contrast, but then as we get more advanced, we have to compress those values. So it's almost like in the beginning you want to have the contrast, but after that you want to compress those values. Michael says, take your time, Astral. Time is on your side. Oh, cool. And JC said he's doing great. How about myself? I was sick for a while last week. For like 10 days, but I'm doing much better. Thank you. See, I'm gonna hit this little Rembrandt triangle here. I know, and you know, in the past, going over to India ink with the white was unheard of. But I'm a little bit thicker with the white, so I used to do like a 2-to-1, maybe a 3-to-1. Now I do it a 1-to-1. And I'm having much more success. You can never do this with any other thing besides my India ink. You would have to add orange to it and everything like that. So there are great advantages to working with my inks. Not just because they're mine, but because I tried the others as well. And it's just night and day. And of course right here we have the maxilla coming down here, and then there's a space between the maxilla and the jawbone, which is the mandible, and that's what creates that whole look of that whole look of the cheekbone, but it's actually not the actual cheekbone, it is the maxilla. Hey Paul, great to see you from Indiana. How's everything, sir? I'm so glad you're here. And, oh, Astral says, still getting ocular migraines. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, my friend. Hey Bobby, how's it going? Great to see you all the way from Cape Cod. So great to see everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. So you can see how different I am working with the Airbrush India inks. Your technique always has to grow. Oh, thank you, Paul. Paul says he's happy that I'm feeling better. So basically what we're going to do is we're just going to you know, grow with our technique, and that's what I'm doing now. So on her neck area, we have, and again, you see where I went a little bit too overzealous with that. Just make sure you let the paint catch up to the surface. And that's so important. And we're just going to build this up slowly, and we all get overzealous. And what I'm doing now is compressing those values, right? It's very important to compress those values. And so I decided to, my color mixing course, which is going to change everything, and I break ground on it this week, and I'm calling it the Gideon color mixing method. And it's going to be exciting because it's going to allow you to go ahead and mix any color on the fly, and not only that, and find the color within a minute or so. And it works for oils and airbrush, and I mean, I'm really excited about it. So keep an eye out for that, and it's going to be great. Okay, so we have that. Now we're going to come back in with our India inks, and we're going to kind of work back and forth here. Now, I did not dilute it as much as I should, so I'm going to dilute this detail mixture a little bit more. Because, and here's the detail mixture. I did get an order for 2 of them by David, and I'm looking forward to sending them out. I just made all the inks this week, so they'll be going out pretty quickly. See, now it's much lighter, and I could be much more deliberate. So that's why it's good to go ahead and dilute it at first, because then you have more control. So you want as much control as possible. I don't like scratching techniques. I much rather paint it and get better at painting rather than scratching. A little step here. And then we'll work on her nostril here. And again, just be careful not to go too dark, okay? And it's okay to come back to it, but if I stay there, I'm going to get overspray and spidering and all of that, and that's no fun, you know? Let's go ahead and work on her other eye. And we'll stay on this eye for a little bit, and maybe we can zoom in on her eye. And we'll just put this over here, and let's get rid of me. There we go. Okay, now we'll work on her eye. So if you're looking to get control and basically take your airbrush control to the next level, you won't have to worry about dilution with these. You won't have to worry about any kind of additives. They're perfect right out of the bottle. And you just go from light to medium. I mean, from the detail, you dilute the detail, then you use the detail full strength, dilute a little bit the light mixture, and then do the light mixture full strength, and dilute a tiny bit of the medium mixture, and then medium mixture full strength, and you'll have the full values, but you'll have a control that you wouldn't have normally. Very little tip dry with this, which is very encouraging, and you're just using water. It's just made out of carbon, water, and a tiny little shellac, and whatever I put in there to slow the drying time a little bit, which is really great, and increases flow. Air Todd, how's it going all the way from San Diego? So great to see you. And notice I'm building up my darks. Slow and sure. So by diluting that detail mixture, I'm able to get such control that there's nothing out there to give you this kind of control. My air pressure is super low. I start out at the compressor at 25 psi, and then you set it and forget it, and then you adjust with the MAC valve or the PAC valve, depending on what airbrush you have. Normally I would probably, if I was working in like acrylic, I would do this with a paintbrush, but you really don't need it with the inks and the Extreme Patriot Arrow. See that? You know, my customized one, of course. Okay, I'm just going to continue. And notice the amount of control I'm able to get here. And you know, we can keep moving on, and the thing is, we want to make sure that we are compressing our values and not making the values too contrasty, because everything is super round with her. She's not angular, so there are angular areas of her. And right here I'm going to work on the softening this edge here on her neck. There we go, and you can see how I brought those eyes close just already, you know. Hey Patrick, cheese grits and NyQuil, how's it going? Yes, definitely. This is an image that me and Patrick were working on. So you could replay this, Patrick, and you can actually pick up where we left off. So it's a win-win situation for you. So, and I also keep my live stream, so you can actually finish this at your leisure. Whoop. Guys, I will be right back. Let's see. Um, okay, I am back, and let's see. Uh, yes, so everything is good. So I'm back. I appreciate that. And Air Todd says, Tim, how much did you delete the detail mix at the beginning? Yes, so in the very beginning, I did like a 1 to 0.5, so added like 50% water to one part of the detail mixture. But then I wanted a little bit more detail, a little bit more control. So what I did was I went ahead and did a 1-to-1, and that gave me a little more control. And so now I'm just going to continue. So I was working on kind of softening this edge, which is the sternocleidomastoid coming down here. And then I'm going to darken the tracheal area here. Okay, let's see. All right. Mr. Patrick says, pizza calzones? Oh man. My appetite is back, but not fully back yet, you know? So that's okay. But I had 2 meatball sandwiches for lunch, so but I had to make sure that I made myself eat. I'm gonna just hit this hair down here. So with this, I really don't need to do anything but just paint with the airbrush. I may do some paintbrush techniques here and there, but with the inks, I pretty much have a pretty good control on this stuff. Um, Remember, distance it's gonna lighten your values, so you want to make sure you do white. And Andre, como vai você? Great to see you, Andre. Love your work. Michael says, are you using the illustration white or the wicked white or ink white? Yes. So whenever you see me using white in my airbrush, with the India ink, it's always a 50-50 illustration white, Michael. Great question. And so that's the best white to use. I tried every single white under the sun, but this is the one that works with this technique the best, bar none. Ah, great to see you. Oh, thank you, sir. Total Bane. Total Bane. And right here, I'm just going to do her philtrum. We're going to work on her nose a little bit. Let's see if we can zoom in on her nose. She has a cute nose. And we'll just bring this up. And then it gets much lighter over here. Now, everything looks pretty dark right now. It's because everything is so light around everything. Here's the alar cartilage. Now, alar cartilage is at the bottom, the ball of the nose there. That's the alar cartilage, and it makes a kind of butterfly. And it's funny because in Latin, alar means butterfly, and it's in the shape of a butterfly. Ah, thank you so much, Andre. Thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate that. Muito obrigado. That is so fantastic. And Mr. Cheese Grits Nyquil says, did I get a new airbrush? No, this is the airbrush I've been using since 2018. And this is my first customized Extreme Patriot arrow. That's the great thing about the Extreme Patriot Arrow, the 105, is that's your everything airbrush. You don't need to, collect airbrushes from them, unless you want to. But this airbrush, I can do anything with it. I can work in Createx, I can work in illustration, Wicked. I could use it for India inks. I mean, it does everything that I'm asking of it. It has a .30 nozzle, but the configuration of the needle and the trigger and everything allows me to have this a detailed powerhouse. As you can see now, what it's capable of. That's the thing, I don't have to say, this is what it's capable of. We can just see it, Oh, so you subscribed, Astral, to... Oh, I see. Very cool. Very cool. Oh, muito obrigado. Es mi favorito aerografo favorito, amigo mío. Now it's important to leave a space between the lip and the shadow caused by the orbicularis oris over here. and we'll zoom out and see how everything is coming out. Not bad. You see how things are kind of progressing nicely, and that's what we want, right? We want it to progress nicely and slowly, and but I am being a little more specific as far as what area I'm working in. So here on her lip, we have a little bit more of an incline on this side of the lip, and sometimes you have to do some drawing. Hey Brad, how's it going all the way from Manitoba, Canada? Great to see you. Oh yeah, so this is definitely my Airbrush India inks, my friend, so that's cool. And Mr. Cheese Grit says he loves how my brush setup runs 97.5 needle out of the front, makes a great amount of precision. Yes, so you know what Patrick is alluding to is how much the needle actually protrudes from that nozzle, making a 0.3 nozzle probably like a 0.15, and that's really fantastic. So look at that, and that's done by design of my custom brush. And must spray outside the studio. That's funny. So I was basically alluding to right here, we have a little bit more of an incline right over here. And then this comes out there. So sometimes you may have to do a little bit of correcting, which is fine. And we'll go ahead and work on this here. It's a little bit darker in value. And like I said, this is not an underpainting. This is just me working with my Airbrush India inks and really getting down and dirty with this. And just enjoying this medium that I basically invented. I may come back with the white mixture over here. Okay, so at the nape of her neck, which is one of my favorite parts of a woman, well, I have a lot of favorite parts of women, but I do love the nape of the neck. It's so elegant. And that's why that's one of the many reasons why I love women and why I paint them. And Michael says that airbrush works so good. That's his workhorse right now, and that's why I ordered the bigger cup one. Oh, thank you, sir, for that wonderful, wonderful testimony. It really does. It's a, you know, and you know, I wouldn't endorse it unless it was something that I use. I mean, I never look back. I sold all of my custom microns. I had 3 of them. I had the side feed Eclipse, and I loved them all. But for me, I wanted to just kind of streamline my process. And I'm going to go back in here. Pretty soon I'm going to come in with the dark and maybe, you know, work on her hair a little bit. So we have to make everything turn. She's, you know, all her features are on this spherical form, right? And the light is coming from the upper left. That means everything on the lower right is going to have shadow to a certain degree as it turns away from the light, right? And that's important. Wow, Colette, thank you so much. I appreciate that for the super chat. Thank you, Colette, with the $20 super chat. I really appreciate you. I love having classes with you. Colette is one of my star pupils. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support. And I just appreciate that so much. And just thank you. And thank you for your friendship. I really, really appreciate you. And Brad says he's going to have a second grandchild pretty soon. That's exciting. Patrick says, agree that Michael, he has one of my airbrushes as well, and it's an absolute monster of a worker. Sprays light, heavy, everything in between. Chews up chunky paint easily. Thank you. And that's it. It's like the A10 Warthog, right? It's not as fancy and streamlined, as pretty as the other airbrushes, but you don't want to be at the business end of it. And I think that's the way this airbrush is, you know? I mean, it's just no nonsense. It's just going to do what you want it to do and really, you know, really perform for you. And that's one of the things that I want. And you don't need all these different airbrushes for different things. This one does it. And of course, any airbrush, you have to get used to it, right? It has a different DNA. It has the Badger DNA, and it's going to be a little bit different than what you're used to. But once you really get the hang of it, I don't think many people will go back. Oh, it really is a .30 and the cone, right? It has the cone as opposed to those little tiny little nozzles, right? The little tiny nozzles are a problem. But if it has this cone right here, and I'll just show you. This is an old beat up one. But here's the cone. You can see how big it is. We'll just move this here. A lot easier to clean. And it's just self-centering. It's, you know, there's no screw to mess up. So if you take apart your airbrush, you don't have to worry about any seals being broken. So it's just made to last, right? That's what it is, and that's important. Let's see. So we're talking about all you guys and your grandchildren, which is cool. So just as a quick note, how many people out there would be interested in purchasing a color mixing method where you could find that color inside a minute? How many people out there would be interested in a course like that? I just would like to know, just for my own edification. Just going to get a swig of water. I'll actually make it a poll. Start a poll. Let's see. And the question is, let's see. Okay, so I put a poll up there, everybody, and just, what you all would think. Just hit yes or no if you would be interested in that, because I wanna basically see if this is something that you all would need, you know. Uh, oh, Brad says he's in the inner circle. That's cool, and so that's good. So definitely let me know if it's something. I want to make it affordable, right? I know it's been years of me working on this, so I'm going to do my best to make it affordable as possible, uh, especially for those who have supported me, you know. But I'll tell you, over the year, over the past year, I was agonizing over something. Something wasn't quite working, and I was able to actually solve that, and now I get 100% 100% accuracy. Before it was like maybe like 80% accuracy, and I was kind of you know not putting it up there. So let's see. So we have 88% of you would be interested. Okay, thank you for being honest. The 12%. And so what I'm going to do now is I am going to start working on some of the anatomy, even though, and that's the beauty of the anatomy, is that there are times where you might not see the anatomy, but doesn't mean that you can't put that in. So here's the glabella, and that's the forehead goes into the nasal bone, so there's an indentation, and then the nasal bone comes out, otherwise it will look like a parrot. So I'm actually going to indicate that glabella right here. See that? And also we're going to work on the supraorbital eminences. And in the middle, between the supraorbital eminences and the protuberances of the frontal bone, there's this little dark area. And that's where anatomy comes in and how important it really is. And Bobby says 3 more years he's getting senior discounts. That's funny. And but I'm doing paintings like you all seen my oil paintings and my airbrush paintings. I have been using that color theory that whole time, and you know, and the great thing is that you need a lot less paints, and listen to that. Mr. Patrick says he's getting a senior discount on the casino on food for years. Actually qualified for that discount since June. He's offered, but he's like, where's my discount? That's funny. So right now we're at 80% of you are interested in seeing color in a brand new way. And I can honestly say there's nothing close to it. You know, this invention, there's nothing close. Oh, so Patrick, Michael says he's back in the paint job at work now with cars, and it's a bit more harder than you think. Wow, I could imagine. Uh, you mean as far as mixing color, Michael? Okay. And here we have that maxilla. So you can see the maxilla right here, just as you see where the teeth is, and then it kind of goes out. That's the maxilla over here. On the outside, that's the zygomatic, but on the inside, above the teeth, and just to the right and left of the teeth, that's the maxilla bone. So that's important. Oh, deal with oxidation. Oh, definitely. And so you see how the anatomy is so important for me to take this portrait, which looks good, but we don't want looking good. We want it to look classical. We want it to look uh, outrageously artistic. So what I'm going to do now is let's go back with um, our white mixture here. Always test over here. So if you go on inkflingers.com, the India inks are now available, and I'll show you all. So help me to sell these. You know, we have the medium mixture, we have the light mixture, and the detail mixture. So help me sell them. They are my own special formula, which I painstakingly do it exactly and have them you know, calibrated and everything. So when you're working with them, you're going to be working with the same exact mixture as I have. Okay, so we're going to come back in with the white, and we're going to intensify that light again. She has this beautiful light on her, and we're just going to intensify it. And I know you probably already know, I'm classically trained, so the way I'm approaching this is the way that I was trained to approach a portrait, you know? And so it has a very classical feel to it. And also a lot of tradition. A lot of tradition. My teacher, his teacher, all the way back to, like, you know, Jean-Auguste Dominique Ingres, and further to David, Nicolas Poussin. We're talking like 1400s, you know, the tradition. And Brad says he gives a testimony here. Tim's method gets it bang on every time and quickly without wasting paint. He never seen anything like it. He really struggled with color before. Thank you, sir. And Brad's talking about the color theory, of course. So notice with the white mixture, I could make any kind of mistake. As long as I'm slowly building up the white, I don't have to worry about the blue shift. If you guys take my course or even some of my online courses, it will really help you, because you can get blue shift if you don't know, you know, the ins and out of it. So I do have a couple of online courses on working with the Airbrush India inks and doing the portrait. It comes with the stencils, the line drawing, everything for you to try it. And so the links are in the description of this video if you're interested. I highly recommend it. See, I was able to come in right here with the sternocleidomastoid, and I didn't have blue shift. You're not afraid of blue shift. You gotta attack it. And that's the thing. Don't, you know, if you're worried about blue shift to the point where it attacks your creativity, then that's not good. And don't forget, I offer a mentorship program, which is really great. And if anyone's interested in the mentorship program, I have a couple of spots open, and I will give you a discount if you're interested for the first 3 months. And you know, I have students that are with me almost 5 years, and the growth, they've had one artist shows and just so much growth. And you got to let that dry. It's a little bit lighter here, so we can first try with the eraser. I'm not a big erasing guy, but I will use it if it's going to give me the best look, you know. So we're at 91% out of 11 votes, which is great. So that's exciting. So I am going to put that online course of the color theory. It's called the Gideon Color Theory Method. And we do have a little bit on the wing of the nostril here. And now we're going to come back in right here, kind of darken this side plane of the nose. There we go. And maybe just darken this area. And Bobby says, see, 55, and he can't wait 3 more years so he can get the senior discount. You guys are funny. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and no, I was going to go ahead and darken the hair, but we can wait for that. That's not a crucial thing. I can do that off camera. And let's see, right over here we have the dark of the clavicle. But what I will do is I'm going to cover her dress because that's going to be white, and I want a border between the two, that beautiful hard edge. And I believe I did get a stencil for that in a perfect world. Yes, I do have it. Okay. So sometimes I lose the stencils, as you know. Right over here. So I'm protecting the dress, right? I'm protecting that edge because I want it to be a hard edge, right? It's not part of her flesh. So it's something on top of the flesh. So you want that hard edge. It's very important. And Mr. Patrick says, Tim, don't give away the mentorship spot yet. I will be back sooner. Oh, that's so great. Okay, that's great. So we have one. We had 2 open, now we have 1. Okay, that's good news, Mr. Patrick. And the great thing, Patrick, is that you could watch this and work on this one in the interim. Okay, so we're going to come back in with the white mixture, but I'm going to get rid of some of the pencil marks here. So that's great news, Patrick. I'm so glad to hear. Oh wow, lobster rolls. I heard great things about it. And listen to that, Michael says McDonald's has discounts. I'm so glad to be back with the live stream with you all. I just want to say thanks so much for hanging with me tonight, and I'm enjoying every moment with you all. And I just want to say thanks to that from the bottom of my heart. It's not easy being a full-time artist, as you know, and but this makes it worth it. Really does. You still have to worry a little bit about blue shift, but it's nothing you can't, nothing you should be afraid of. So right over here, we have the clavicle, and of course the top part of the clavicle is hitting the light, so you're going to see it's getting some light there. But it's round, right? It's not a hard edge, so it's going to turn slowly. See, as I turned it slowly, it's not looking so angular. That's important. You have to identify what is the characteristic of the shape that you're painting. Yes, you're painting a person, but you're painting a series of features, a series of three-dimensional forms. Some are more rounded, some are oblong, some are square, and you have to really ascertain what exactly is going on so you can reproduce that in 2 dimensions. And that's exactly, you know, it's important. And oh, I always work around your schedule, Mr. Patrick, so, but I understand you work a lot of hours, so definitely understandable. But in the mentorship program, I always try to work around my students' schedules, because I know, you know, you all have responsibilities and people in your life, and I think I'm the only one out there that does that. You know, because art is supposed to be something that is stress-free, and if we're stressing out trying to get to class and juggling our responsibilities, I don't want that. I would rather it to be available for you when you have, you know, when your schedule allows, and my schedule allows, of course. But I'm a full-time artist, so I'm able to adjust, you know. So definitely think about my mentorship course. And if not, I have 2 courses. There are links in the description. They're full courses. One's a 5-hour, and I believe another one is a 3-hour. One is Gal Gadot, and the other one is a vintage portrait, a classical portrait, very much like this, using the Airbrush India inks. So you see how I'm turning the forms here on this lovely lady? And we're just working on this breast right here. And the light, it's really catching the light. The rounder the form, the closer the values are going to be one another, right? So if it's more round, it's going to turn towards the light slower and away from the light much slower. And what does that mean? That the contrast is going to be less. So remember that. And let's see, Michael says Saturday he tried to do a live stream on YouTube and could not because he did not have 50 people. Is that 50 friends? Probably, right? So I understand that. I think you can still do a live stream with the phone if I'm not mistaken. But I'll look into that for you, Michael. And Steve says from the computer, Michael, or phone. And Patrick says there's a backdoor method to doing YouTube live stream without having enough people. You have to look it up though. Interesting. white of the eyes aren't really white, so we're going to leave that alone. But I am going to work on the retro orbicularis opali fat right there. And just a little bit lighter there. And let's see. So that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I know YouTube has the information, but I'm not sure. I've been doing live streams since 2016, I think. Plus, been doing YouTube videos since 2008, so I'm old school. Okay, so now we're going to come back in with this color here. And I want to soften this up. This is way too harsh here. So I'm going to soften up this edge right here. It's all about hard edges and soft edges, harsh contrast and compressed contrast. It's a lot going on. I'm going to soften this edge here on her hairline. And right over here, we'll soften up this edge. Let's see, 157. Astral says, what's your YouTube channel? Yes, I definitely want to subscribe to your YouTube channel, Mr. Michael. Let me know what it is. We'll all subscribe. Just softening up this edge here. I'm going to work on the glabella a little bit darker. Okay, so let's reverse it and see if we could go ahead and work on her dress. Okay. Alright, so we have the reverse where we cover up everything but the dress. And we'll put this over here. And then we can work on her dress. And that's what I teach. I teach how to make these custom stencils and create the edge work that is going to take your work to the next level. And in my online course, my online courses, I do have the it comes with these stencils, so you'll see just how important it is to have those stencils that you make for each painting, customized, you know. Alright, so we have our white mixture, and what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and work on some of the larger shapes here. Mr. Todd says, Tim, I was thinking about paying about another brush just because I'm having trouble using the Water Eclipse CS, the Mac valve on the hose. I do have an Extreme Patriot Arrow, the small cup, if you're interested. And so let me know if you're interested. I have it all ready. I could send that one out. Uh, Unfortunately, I'm waiting on Badger for the large cup. With the small cup, I have one available if you were interested. But you do love the CS. That's, you know, it's definitely a personal preference. But if you want one of my airbrushes, I'll be happy to customize it for you, sir. And Patrick says he started out making pyro and craps video, and he hit 100 subs, and then all heck broke loose on the home front and had to stop doing it. Yeah, it's hard, you know. Doing a YouTube channel is one of the most difficult things that I have done in my life. Have maintaining it all these years. I am super consistent now, and that is since I'm super consistent since 2016. So, it is a lot of work. And right now I'm going to be working on her dress. Whoop! Remember, see how I overdid it? And let the paint catch up to the surface. You can always go back to it. So it might look like nothing's happening, that's okay. You go ahead and you do another layer. Let's see if I missed anything. Oh, cool, at Michael McGlung. So I'm definitely going to subscribe. That's for sure. Let me see if I can subscribe right now for you. Let's see how easy it is. I'll do the filter for channel. There's a couple of Michael McGlungs. Is that the one? Oh, there you are. I have a mic. So there's several of them. Now let me know, there's a Michael McGlung 5357. And is that the one, the 5357? Let me see if that's the one. Oh, there we go. Yes. So I just subscribed, and I hit all notifications. So whenever you do a video, I'm gonna be there. And so here I'm gonna put the channel, right? I'm gonna put a link for you guys so everyone can go ahead and subscribe to our friend here. Here we go. There we go. So everyone can go ahead and subscribe to Mr. Michael. So that's great. Oh, thank you, Bobby, for the vote of confidence. I appreciate that. So right now, very lightly, super light, I'm hitting the hitting the dress. Or the nightshirt, I'm not sure. So my work is currently in a gallery in Montclair, New Jersey, at the Leach Gallery. And I'm not sure. I may be in the same gallery in September, October. We'll see. And then possibly in New York City coming up. That would be in the autumn. But I think I missed those shows, you know, when my mom was sick. You mean entering those shows, I should say. And Oh, look at that. Oh, cool. Everyone is subscribing to my friend. That's great. Oh, look at that. Mr. Bobby says he wants to buy 2 one day. That's cool. Thank you. Astral says, too many rules now to be a content creator, and he has been trying to learn new art from, like, Blender is really difficult. Oh my goodness. I feel your pain with that one. So what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of ghosting her dress. Looks like I'm not doing anything, but when I lift this up, it'll really come out. Okay, I think this is good for now. And let's lift it up and see what we got. But what it's going to do, it's going to give us some nice definition, and that's what we're looking for. Ooh, look at that. We had some spray onto our Mylar. A little scary. We'll just pull that over and wipe this off. So you see now we have a little more definition from the background, which is pretty good. Okay, not bad at all. And let's see. Okay, so this should be, it's still wet, so I'm going to stay away from that. So you got to know when to, like, chill, you know, and that's what I'm doing. It's getting a little warm in here, so I'm going to lower my air. I got one of those freestanding inside air, you know, with the big, you know, with that big tube, you know. So it works pretty well, but the ones that are in the window are always better. Raffin says Tim's brush and his Galleria is what he is using mostly. Very cool, my friend. Very cool. Let's go ahead and increase the light here. Again, I don't want to oversaturate, so I'm going to go slow. There's a little more light here on the top of the frontal bone. Remember, we're thinking of her anatomy, right? Her bone structure. Okay, so let's take some of our light mixture, which is darker. We'll start with the detail mixture. We can always go dark, and we have a paintbrush here, and we're going to do a little bit of paintbrush action here. Not much, just a little bit. We're going to do the detail mixture full strength. And I put a little bit of that in the cup, not much. And, you know, I want to do a dry brush technique, right? So you see I come here, and then I get rid of the excess water, right? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some definition in her eyes. We always want to keep the eyes, nose, and mouth a little bit ahead of everything. So that's really crucial. So let's zoom in on her eye here. The eye on the left is a little less detailed, so I want to catch it up. So I'm going to work on this here. So since I was sick, I was watching a lot of Curb Your Enthusiasm, Anyone out there watch that show? I'm not a big TV fan, but I'm a real fan of his stuff. It's really hilarious. Um, oh, so Bobby says he hasn't used anything since his last class, but tomorrow we have a class. I was thinking, Bobby, could we do the class a little bit early tomorrow? We'll talk via IM tomorrow, because Bobby and I have a class tomorrow. Notice I don't get involved in highlights for a while. Oh, great. So that's fantastic. And so, yeah, a little bit earlier. Trying to get my hours, getting sick, you kind of realize that I've been keeping like really late hours. And I'm trying to, you know, cut down on the later hours, getting done at a decent time. And I don't have a personal life just yet, but I'm working on it, you know. And I like to be ready when that personal life comes to pass. There we go. And it's a long way to go. Well, definitely need to rest, but got to take care of my students. So if my students can adjust a little bit, that's great. But if any of my students can't because of time constraints, then we'll continue that. It's just I want to kind of stop the late classes as much as possible. And you can see I'm just getting a little more specific with her eyebrow. Harvey used to say to me when I was painting, he's like, "What are you waiting for? Get in there." And that's, sometimes we do that. We wait. Like, what are we waiting for? Just go in there as soon as possible. This Saturday, Patrick's working on American Graffiti Night Race. Oh man, that's great. And oh yes, Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's so cool. It's so funny. Uh, it's Larry David, who was the co-creator of Seinfeld, and I've been watching it like almost binging when I wasn't feeling well. Get rid of the excess water. Anything that looks like an error in the early going, just omit it. It's too early. You can always fix it. And then we'll come in with our detail mixture. And we'll darken this up. Little bit of spidering, but easily fixed. You wait for that to dry and that erases out perfectly. Okay, so it's a little bit darker right under here. And just slight, this is called the tear bag right there, just a little bit darker there. Setting up for later when we're going to use the pastel, which is great, which is my secret weapon. And here we are with this darker color. We don't want to get too linear with the darker color. Oh, okay, probably be around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, are you going to do a live stream or something like that, sir? So speaking of live streams, Steve Leahy is doing a live stream tomorrow at 1. So if you enjoy, you know, stuff like this, Steve Leahy's live stream is right up your alley. And that's on YouTube, Steve Leahy, and you'll really enjoy it. So tomorrow at 1. The old pastel ploy. Yes, exactly. The secret weapon. Because that really just makes everything explode. Just takes it to that next level. And Steve remembers how to paint. That's funny. Oh, great. So Saturday I should be okay that time. I'm going to put that on my calendar. So I definitely want to be there to support you, Mike. We need that support in the early going. I remember when I first started doing live streams, and this was in the infancy of live streams, right? And there was nobody there. When I say there was nobody there, literally there was nobody there. And that will come in with the detail mixture here. A little bit darker right there. One second rule, make sure. Most of the stuff that I teach is what my teachers have told me, but there's some things that I came up on my own, and the 1 second rule is definitely my own. Oh, so that's okay, you'll get there. Nobody here but us chickens, that's funny. Yeah, in the beginning it was, I remember I've done whole live streams with nobody there. And, but that's part of the course, you know? That's how you get good, though. And we'll zoom out, and you can see how you know, things are progressing with her, right? And then we can look at our values and see where we may be too light. But what we'll do is eventually we'll start painting with the full-blown, undiluted detail mix. Let's see here. Every painting is going to have its own little challenge. And just know that every painting is gonna have a challenge. And Bobby says his artwork has to get better before he goes live. No, you just go ahead and go live. Don't worry about it. I think your artwork is great, so I think you're ready. Alright, let's do this. We're going to put the straight detail mixture, maybe even the light mixture. So I'm going to see if I have a hair only stencil, and I do. So let's end this with a bang, right? So we're going to put this here. And you're going to see how dark her face looks, but once we come here, you're going to see how things really just lighten up, which is really cool. It's not the first time someone told me to lighten up. Let's see. Okay. So it's important to have your magnets on the edge, right? You don't want underspray, especially in her skin, right? That would just be awful. Awful, awful. Underspray is bad. What, we don't want to put the magnets on the hair, right? That's bad. But we want to protect the contours of her face. We want them right on the edge. Oh, thanks, Mark. I appreciate you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And Michael says, Tim, for you, the following Saturday, we're going to get back to the fair. Ah, that's going to be great. Thank you. I'm looking forward to that. I love the way the Farrah faucet's coming out. So excited to see your progress there, Mr. Michael. I really am. Oh. You want to take your time when you're putting these stencils on, because what's the alternative? Getting underspray? That's no fun. And let's see, get them right on there. No underspray. This is no underspray zone. And you can't have too many napkins. You can't have too many magnets. Right on the edge. Okay, I exhausted all my magnets. Make sure they're on the edge. No underspray. No underspray at all. Mark, have a great night. Always a pleasure. And thank you so much hanging out all the way from Calgary, Canada. It's a real pleasure. And I hope you have a great week. Stay well, and thank you for the well wishes. I really appreciate you. So we're going to take our detail mixture from our brush. And we have another 11 minutes, so let's go ahead. And we're going to come in with the light mixture. So you guys might say, well, Tim, why don't you just go ahead and go in with the medium mixture and make it dark? Because you want to build your darks up, right? You don't want to be a cowboy. So we have our light mixture, fresh light mixture. And so when you take it off, there's a little collar. Just take that collar and throw it away. And now these little bottles will last you because there's little droppers, which is really great. Full strength light mixture. And that's quite dark. And but it's a nice progression from the full strength detail mixture. Okay, so I'm going to stand up and let's get ready to rumble. I'm going to use the back of a needle, and let's see what I missed. Just go live, it doesn't matter if you could dance or not, Michael says. Michael Jackson, that's funny. And Bobby says, Tim just blows his mind how you remember where everything is from. Heck, he doesn't know where. Thank you. And wonder if Leonardo used templates. You know what? There's a lot of secrets of the old masters that died with them. Bobby says, just remember someone will always pick up something. Very true. Very true. There's always somebody who can learn from you, Bobby. And also your friends want to support you. Okay, here goes. I'm spraying away. Now I'm spraying away from the stencil. Why spraying away? Because if you're spraying away from the stencil, you're not going to get as much underspray because you're going away from it. Just aerodynamics, right? But as you're doing this, I want you to be painting, right? You're still doing the 1 second rule. You're not blindly going in. You're still painting around the lights. Right? So I'm not an erasing guy. I'm going to try and avoid erasing as much as possible. When you study with me, you're studying with someone who's a little bit different than other artists. A little more of a classical feel to it, you know? Guilty as charged. Spraying away, not getting too wet, right? You can always do another layer, but if you oversaturate, you're going to make a mess. Spray away from that freehand shield. Spraying away, you're not going to get underspray because the air is going away. Spraying towards, it's going to go in and attack, right? So you always want to think ahead. Think ahead. You know, you want to be strategic about everything. So now we did that, and now we're going to do two things. We're going to darken the hair, but we're also going to create harder edges and more definition. So it's a win-win situation when you go ahead and darken the hair. There may be some correcting to do, but that's just part of it, right? And so right now we have to worry about this. There's no reason why you can't borrow the magnet from another area that you're currently not using. Away from the stencils. Okay, so right now we're okay, but we're just going to blow some air on here. So, you know, why India ink? Because it works as a perfect underpainting. You don't have any trap pencil lines as acrylic paint does. It works as a perfect underpainting for Createx paint or any acrylic. It works as a wonderful underpainting for oil painting, for pastel. I mean, it's a win-win situation. And they come in these little dropper bottles, and you don't have to worry about, you know, correct dilution. It's all done for you. Okay, so we're going to take a look. Let's kind of dry this up a little bit. And this will take us to the end of the live stream, I think. Here goes nothing, honey. Let's see. careful when we lift these. You know, we may have it may be successful. We might have some fixing to do. But I think we'll be okay. You never know, right? So let's just move these off. I see a lot of monochromatic paintings going on, but I really think that my technique is the best. Alright, see that? Now look how beautiful, right? And so what we have is we have some beautiful contours now, which is really good. And so that's fantastic. So that's, you know, you can definitely see where we're progressing. And I'm loving it. I'm very happy with it. And I can see now I can get even darker and even come in with the white mixture and, you know, put some lights in some of these shadow areas, like over here. Compress those values a little bit. And that's what's important, to make sure that you're able to correct yourself. And working on the anatomy of her forehead. But you see how that really made an impact, how, you know, it really helps us. And when this dries, it's dry now, so we can see what kind of erasing we're able to do. We can do somewhat erasing. We don't want to overdo it. There we go. So we can erase a little bit. And like I said, I'll do it if it helps out the painting. And then we'll go over it again. So you see how we can really make the hair beautiful. Put in some nice detail here. Brad, have a great night. Great to see you. Thanks so much for hanging out. I really appreciate you, sir. And so that is great. So I thank you for that. I want to thank you, thank Michael and Colette for the super chats. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for the support. That is great. And we're at 11:28. So I'm just going to continue with the hair for the last 2 minutes. Like I said, you know, I can make this a black and white painting, you know, a strict black and white painting, and it would be just as much of a work of art as anything. Or I could shellac this and make it an oil painting. I could go over it with the Createx paint and do a full-blown color airbrush painting and have a beautiful underpainting. So it's great because it gives us, you know, quite a lot of choices, and choices are always better, right? Oh, thanks, Steve. Steve says thanks for a great feed. I appreciate it. And JC, have a great night. It's great to see you. And so that's cool. And everyone, don't forget Steve Leahy's live stream tomorrow at 1 p.m. And so we have some negative spaces down here. So I had a lot of fun hanging out, going back to basics, going back to my Airbrush India ink. If you want to get better, if you want that added bit of detail and control, I highly recommend my Airbrush India ink for getting you in shape, you know? Highly recommend it. I think it's, I have some of the light mixture in here. And I'm going to hit the dark of the eye because I can. There we go. Okay, we're at 11:30. Thank you so much for a successful live stream. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you all. Take care, Mr. Cheese Grits and NyQuil and Michael and Brad and Bobby and JC, Mr. Steve, Astral. Great to see everyone. I'm so glad everybody was here. Colette, you know, you all are so great. We had our friend from Brazil, Andre, and that was fantastic. It was great to see Andre. And I just want to wish everyone a great night. Take care of yourselves. Stay healthy. Keep God in your life. And